Well, welcome everybody. My name is Penelope Moon, and it's my pleasure to direct the Center for Teaching and Learning here on the Seattle campus of the University of Washington. Also a proud member of the Teaching at UW Network, which is a tri-campus collaboration focused on providing instructors on all three campuses with high quality instructional support. And it is sponsoring today's session. As many of you know, the federal government recently updated its accessibility standards in the Americans with Disability Act, and the deadline for compliance with those updated standards is April 2026. Today's session continues our series of sessions focused on helping UW fulfill its accessibility mission and implement those updated standards. Our session today is specifically designed to raise awareness about a number of UW-supported tools designed to help identify accessibility issues in course materials. In many cases, the tools that we're going to talk about today will help guide you through the steps you need to take to make your materials accessible. So we're going to focus today on showing you how to access these accessibility checkers and on how to read the reports that some of these accessibility checkers put out. Without further ado, I want to turn things over to Anna Thompson, who is academic and access technologist at UW-Bothell, and also a wonderful person. Anna has long been at the forefront of accessibility work at the UW, and we're thrilled to have her with us today. Anna, take it away.
Thank you. I am humble and thankful to be here today and share some ideas with you. So we'll get started. Okay. There we go. So we're going to talk about accessibility checkers, and just to start on a baseline, these are tools that are built into applications and they constantly scan content, trying to find any accessibility barriers and issues. They also present issues and suggest fixes. And many times, and even more and more, they also provide support and more information so we can better understand what we're doing and why it's important to do it. So Canvas, Microsoft Word, and PowerPoint have accessibility checkers, and those are the ones that we're going to concentrate our session on today. And we're going to start with the Canvas. We'll start with the checker tool that's built in, and it's been there for a long, long time. It is the Canvas Accessibility Checker, and it is inside. It can be found in the Rich Content Editor or the RCE. The content is constantly scanned for barriers in tables and images, the way we use colors, the way we share links, the heading and list structure of the content. And the way you find this, when you open the editor, you're editing content in that mode, you'll see an icon with a little guy with the arm stand out inside a circle, which is the symbol for universal accessibility. And if there are any issues in that content, there will be a little number next to that icon. And okay, so whenever there's an issue, you can select that little icon and that opens up a panel, the accessibility checker. And whether there's one or more issues, you can navigate to them one by one and decide on what to do. For the most part, many things can be fixed right there in Canvas, which makes it really, really nice. For example, alt text and things like that. If it's something related to an image that doesn't have enough contrast, you might need to re-upload a different version of that image. But for the most part, things can be fixed right there and very quickly. In this example, I go from the content, and then there is a checkbox that says, hey, here's the issue. List should be formatted, which means I have a list that was created manually. And there's a checkbox that says, hey, formatted as a list, so it offers to do it for me. I select apply, and as soon as it does, if that's the only issue, then we'll see this wonderful colorful balloons at the end. Yay, you're done. But the thing is, if there are more, it's okay. You just navigate to the next issue until you're done, and then you'll get the balloons. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick demo. In this course, it's a public course from the Canvas Commons. And on this homepage, I am going to select Edit so we can see the editor and the checker. Okay, So we have an image and we have some text and a heading. And down at the bottom is where the accessibility checker is, and I have a 1 next to it. So I'm going to select that to open that panel that I talked about. And it is an issue of alt text. There is alt text in this case, but it is bad alt text. It's basically the image name that doesn't provide any good information. Instead, it should describe the function of the image, the information the image is providing, or if it's purely decorative, mark it as decorative by checking the little checkbox right here, decorative image, and it's really, really easy to fix. And I have some alt text that I saved in the content. I'm just going to copy that and then replace what I have in there. And then, so I'm going to select apply. Oh my gosh, and I'm done. Yay. What's the easy button? That was easy. All right. So I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to save my changes. Remember to always save or it never happened. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about another checker that's also in Canvas. The Ally Accessibility Checker has also been in there for quite a while. The University of Washington purchased a contract with the company and added that to Canvas to help us with all the files. And it is the one that produces those colorful little dials all over the place in our courses. And thankfully, students cannot see those. Only faculty or persons that have an editing role in the course. So this tool scans constantly all of the content in the course. If it's a brand new course that was created and it gets a bunch of content imported, it takes a little bit for everything to be scanned, but after it's done, it will continually move fairly quickly with all the updates. And it does check any of the RCE content from the editor that is also referred to as the WYSIWYG, that what you see as what you get. Uploaded files, whether it's a Word, PowerPoint, PDF, HTML document, or Excel file. Any images that you add in all the different formats, any embedded YouTube videos, it will check those for captioning, and as well as Canvas pages. And as you know, the little colors, they're visual, but basically you do want to see more green than red in terms of Ally. Another part of Ally, aside from those, is the course report that scans your whole course and it provides you an interactive report. And by default, it is listed in the navigation menu of your course. And many times it gets hidden because it's an extra thing when you're simplifying, cleaning out the appearance of the course menu, but it can easily be brought back if it's hidden. You can go to course settings and then the navigation tab, and then you can either drag that up to a location or select the 3-dot menu to enable it, and then make sure you use the save button at the bottom to save those changes. And once it is live, then you can select it and open up your report. And it does include unpublished content. So just by having things unpublished, it's not going to ignore it. So this one report says it gives me a 42% for the general accessibility score for the whole course, right? And the top issues do tend to be PDFs and images on that. There's a link here, and it's also in the resources for an Ally course report training that my colleague Matt Bethune created. It's a set of several short videos that provide a nice view and demo and instructions on how to start working with this tool. I'm going to go to a little demo, go back to the course. I already have the Ally course accessibility report link in the menu. I'm going to select that to take me to the report. Okay, so it looks like this course is at 64%. And I can see in this interactive dashboard that it looks like it's mostly pages and images, and there's some assignments. And then off to the side, there are a couple of groups that help people get started if it seems like a little much. There's a group that says content with the easiest issues to fix. And you're welcome to start there, and you can experiment and navigate and figure out what works best for you. The other one is to fix low scoring content. So if we go and check the first one, the easiest issues to fix. So in this, it looks like it's a bunch of images. Let me go to the next page. Yeah, they're all images. Okay, and I'm just going to select one at random, this one right here, and see what's going on. Okay, so this is the same, it's low in the preview still, but this is the same screen whenever you are in Canvas and you select that little icon next to whatever file that it is by. It's going to open this same interface. And so it tells you the accessibility score of that item and then what the issue is. Pay attention in the area right next to the score. If there's more than one issue, it will have a link that says to view all issues, even if it's just two. So in this case, there's an image with that alt text, and it has information on what that means that you can check out and how to write a description, and then you can type it in. You can use the auto-generate option in here that, it may work. And if with automated things, even if it does a really good job, don't depend on that to be the ultimate final word on that. Make sure that you check it to make sure it's accurate. Okay. So in this instance is saying mathematical equations, formulas written on white, blue background, including trigonometry, vectors, and the quadratic formula. That seems pretty good. If I'm communicating that, right? If this was purely decorative and it wasn't communicating anything, then I could mark it as indicate as decorative with this button. But let's say, okay, I'm gonna accept this and I want that alt text. I'm gonna use it. Okay. And look at that. Now it's 100%. Yay! No balloons, but we have a nice green 100%. Okay. And then it's off of this list. So, and then you can see, there's only one, I think, that has two issues. So just to show you what that link looks like. And this is an interesting one. You may see this. It usually comes up because it thinks that there's flashing content. Anything that flashes over 3 times per second may cause seizures on people who are photosensitive. And I checked it already, it's not. But here's the link that I was talking about, the all issues, because that way you can see everything that's going on with that individual item, whether it's a PDF or an image or whatever it happens to be. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to show the image because I already checked it ahead of time. It is an animated GIF. And the code in there interpreted as something that might have been dangerous, which is okay. So that's that was going on in here. So I'm going to close this and go back to our session. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about the accessibility checkers in Microsoft 365. Microsoft has worked really hard, including and adding checkers to a lot of their applications. Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Excel, OneNote, SharePoint, always or almost always located on the ribbon under the Review tab. And it will say something like check accessibility for the online applications. We're going to review the checker in Word and PowerPoint online because it offers a common interface for all systems. So we're in Word and we select the check accessibility from the Review tab. That opens the accessibility panel. And the checker looks this way in this one image, the review check accessibility. And in the panel, we have groups of items. We have errors, we have tips, we have warnings, and intelligence services. And depending, no matter what they're called, errors are probably the worst, but you should pay attention to every single one of them and address every single one of them. Intelligence service always refers to alt text that was automatically created. And then anytime you make changes, it will prompt you to recheck to update the information that is given you. And once you select an item from that panel, then it gives you information on what it is, and you can go into the Learning Tip to learn more about it. And if you select the item, in this case, it's alt text next to the icon, that will take you to fixing this issue and where the areas where you can add the alt text. There are some variations in the checkers for the desktop applications. So some of them have more features, but you can explore and you may end up finding that you like that better. But this is the more basic for everybody. Okay, so I'll do a little demo. We have a Word document, The Winds of Autumn. It's about a film from 1976. So I have a title and some text and a big image and some more text and a list and some headings. Okay, so I'm going to go to review, check accessibility, and that pulls it's called the Accessibility Assistant. And here's my panel. And so it's telling me that it's finding missing alt text. There's one issue there, and hard to read text contrast, which means there's some text in there that the color against the white doesn't meet the minimum requirement for color contrast. Okay, let's look at the alt text first. And it's the image, and it goes with this. And if this was my document, it's like, oh, I like this image because it pertains to the film, and it is connected to the film. So therefore, I'm going to add some alt text to it. So I'm going to I can learn about it by selecting the tip right in here. Okay. And then I'm going to select alt text to take me to that field where I can enter that information. And I have some text saved off to the side here. And then I'm going to add it, because there's nothing worse than typing live. Okay, so I have it in there. So once I have it in, I can just close it. There's no save button. Okay, and it's gone. Okay, I can always go recheck just to make sure. And then the next one is hard to read text contrast. And I thought that was dark enough, but you know what? Oranges, greens, yellows are very tricky colors, and even some reds. So make sure that they use a darker version than you think to make sure that there's enough contrast. So this right here, I'm going to go to the specific item. It's a warning, but I'm still going to check it. And then in here, there's a learning tip, but also it's giving me right away a fun color that is suggesting. Sometimes the color doesn't fit. One time I did it gave me a bright red. It's like, I don't want bright red in there. But you can select the drop down and pick a different color, whatever color that you think. And I agree with that. So I'm going to pick that darker kind of burnt orange. And then look at that. It's gone. Okay. Now, as I said before, they're not 100% perfect. And I'm just going to prove it to you. This right here, what appears to be a title should be a heading 1. If we go to the Home tab and here where the styles are, it's normal text. This is what I call a fake heading. So it did not pick that up. The plot, this one is also normal text as well as the other one, and it didn't pick him up. So pay attention to that because it won't pick up everything all the time. Okay, so need to be aware of those things. Okay, now we'll talk a little bit about PowerPoint. So it's similar, but then different because PowerPoint is a different type of document. There are some extra things with PowerPoint. For example, all the slides must have a unique title for each slide as well as section titles. And unique can be a complete different name, or it can be the same name because you're in a section with the same name, and it could be 2 of 3, 1 of 3, 3 of 4, and that differentiates from the other slide. Also, another thing that's very important about PowerPoint is that the logical reading order, which is the order in which assistive technologies access the content and read the content, needs to match the visual order that we see. We usually read top to bottom, left to right, and it should follow that same order, title first and then the content as is laid out on the slide. And a lot of times that doesn't match, especially if we don't use the layouts that are part of the templates in PowerPoint that come already set up. So, and you can see that the panel is a little bit different. We have errors, but we have different things in here like missing alt text, missing table header, missing slide title, restricted access, very important, because if something is restricted access completely to protect the document, assistive technology won't be able to get to that content either. So it'll be inaccessible. Intelligence serves some warnings in here about merge or split cells. Here's the reading order. Also, if you have duplicate slide titles or section names, it will let you know. So when you open up in the same way the Accessibility Assistant, but in PowerPoint, you can go to the panel and address each issue as listed. And there's another tab that opens up in PowerPoint online that shows several tools that you can access right from there. You have the check accessibility, but you also have, this comes available, the formatting tools, if you have content selected, color for, choose different color for font, and fill for shapes, and also outline and highlighting. You have this little guy is a little icon that has a little bit of red and green, and it looks almost like an 8, a weird 8. Anyway, so that is a little tool to help you see if you're using color the best way possible. It makes your presentation in monochrome, so you can check for that, which will help you check for people that may have some color blindness or not enough contrast in there. So there's title slides, so you can fix title slides in here. Also, you have this little icon. It looks like a rectangle with a little arrow, and half of it highlighted in light orange, and that is the selection pane. That's going to help you fix the reading order. Here's an alt text where you can access that. And then also there's some other ones for other types, but also you can fix links so they're meaningful, and you can replace those click here and learn more, and just the big URLs to something that's meaningful and unique, as well as turn on or off the live captions if you're presenting live, as well as add captions for embedded video. And here are the tools in a little bit more detail, as I was saying, and you can explore this once you have the slides. It's some of the stuff I already basically told you about. Okay, so we'll go and do a little demo on PowerPoint. Okay, and in this PowerPoint, we have some slides. Oh, go away. I left this running. Okay, so I'm going to go review, check accessibility. Okay. All right, so we have 5 instances of missing alt text, and it will ask us to navigate each one at a time and fix it. Let me close that. What other things do we have? If I close that. Let's see. Okay, so then we also have, there are 2 images that have auto-generated alt text that we need to check and confirm. Make sure there's nothing crazy in there, or it's like picture of a computer, which I usually get. Here's reading order, which automatically takes you to the option to open the selection pane. And this is where you order your content and this specific slide. This one can be confusing because the order is from bottom to top in the selection pane. So the title, which will be read first, is at the very bottom. And you can drag these items around so then the things are announced in the right order. So let's see, let me get the right image here. So I'll drag it down, show you. Okay, so this first image needs to be dragged. I can drag it down, or I can use the arrows to move it down. So it's right after the title, or I can go past the title and move it back up. There we go. So right now, it's kind of, it won't scroll the way down, but here's the title. Then it will read the image, and then it should read the text placeholder, and so on. You can organize this whole thing to the reading order works the way it's supposed to, as expected. Okay. Then let's see, any other things in here? So the other one is basically just check your alt text, check the issues, and go into them and fix them. Okay, one last thing. When I mentioned Google Workspace, many of us love Google. Easy to use, easy to share, all of that. But unfortunately, they do not have an accessibility checker to it in any of those tools. So the thing that you can do is learn more about the best practice and apply them so you can create content as accessible as possible, avoid tables and creating PDFs as much as possible. I mean, in general, but also from Google. You can also turn on accessibility support if you're sharing documents or files from there. It's under tools, because what that does, it makes it easier for that content to interact with assistive technologies for everybody else. So UW is working on a contract with Grackle. It's an accessibility tool that exists for Google Docs, Slides, and Sheets. Negotiations are pending on secure and privacy requirements, and updates will be announced if there's a solution. So we'll have to keep an ear out for that. And here's some resources, a bunch of links of tutorials and training, the famous digital accessibility quick cards that are so great. What can you do right now? Here's an excellent image accessibility creator tool that you can upload an image and it is quite accurate with the alt text. It gives you a lot to work with. There's also the events calendar for the whole tri-campus that includes my office hours that I have weekly. And you're welcome to join from any of the campuses.
Thank you, Anna.